Hi, everyone. I'm here today to talk about the rebellion begins. Over the last week, we've seen some crazy things go on with our Wall Street bets, with them going and buying GameStop, AMC, etc. Now we're starting to see that flow into crypto and into Bitcoin. And this is something that the Bitcoiners have been waiting years for. This is what we've always felt was going to come. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into it. I wrote this up really quickly on Thursday night. Thursday nights are the nights that my newsletter comes out. It's called The Held Report. And by the way, I'm starting a paid tier there where if you pay for it, you get 4 newsletters a month versus 1. And then you get a vote on the next topic and have a weekly Q&A session with me. So back to the article. The article was about how our Wall Street bets and the movement to short squeeze all these hedge funds. This was a movement. This was a rebellion against the existing financial system. And this is what Bitcoiners have talked about for a long time. Too long have we been penalized by the hedge funds and those entrenched in the system. This was a movement to fight back. So I started this out with a quote from Elliot in the show, Mr. Robot. Not sure who's seen this, but it's a really amazing show, really well done. A little bit dark, but I think really, really fun. So in the show, Elliot says they showed themselves the top 1% of the 1%, the ones in control, the ones who play God without permission, and I'm going to take them down. So in the show, he encrypts all of the data of the largest banking institution, rendering all debt null and void, which triggers a huge financial collapse. And he did this because he felt that they had long abused their power. They had long dictated the outcome of billions without their permission. And over the last couple of weeks with Wall Street Bets, this became a reality. So for those who don't know, Wall Street Bets is a subreddit. So this is what it looks like. This is a little Wall Street Bets guy. They're kind of funny, a little bit derogatory in here. They have different funny quotes for stuff. But it's essentially folks who are day traders, and they say, they kind of throw typical investment advice out the window. It's a pretty funny place to go hang out. The user Deep Fucking Value is his username. He bought $50,000 worth of call options on GameStop. And he is posting updates every couple days now. And his call option is now worth $46 million. So what happened? Deep Fucking Value posted, he goes, hey, by the way, I looked at all the most shorted stocks on the stock market, and GameStop was the number one most shorted stock out there. So he goes, okay, well, what if I buy call options? Now, a call option is a bet that the price is going to go up. But what he figured is that if he buys in and other Wall Street bets, retail traders buy in, what they do is they squeeze the stock. So the price went from $10 to $347, which is wild. Now it's at $325. But look, it was down here around $3 to $5, and then here's $10. This was in October, and now it's all the way up here. So a huge price run up because everyone in this community started to buy it. Now, the hedge funds who are on the other side of the trade are short, which means that they're betting that the value is going to go down. So when they all bought it, this almost blew up a couple hedge funds and had huge losses for funds like Point72. Point72 is owned by the crook Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen paid the largest fine ever, a $1.8 billion fine. So he wouldn't go to jail. Sorry, it's not a fine, it's a bribe. He paid a $1.8 billion bribe to the SEC not to go to jail because he was caught insider trading. So he was one of the funds. His fund, Point72, was on the other side of this trade. So all these are Wall Street bet guys start to buy the stock goes up. These hedge funds are getting crushed because they're betting that it's going to go down. Some even have to get bailed out. And by the way, these are the same hedge funds and the financial institutions that have paid over $330 billion in fines due to fraud, money laundering, and market manipulation. So that's who these are Wall Street bet guys are fighting against. And what happens is different brokerages, so brokerages are where you go trade for retail traders. This is where you go trade, like TD Ameritrade and Robinhood. They freaking turn off the ability to go trade. They stop allowing people to buy the stock, which is just nuts because this is a free country and you should be able to buy whatever you'd like. There's no reason why they need to halt this. So this caused a huge uproar. Oh, in addition to TD Ameritrade and Robinhood brokerages banning or Wall Street or banning buying of these stocks, Discord, a popular place to chat, also removed access to Discord for the our Wall Street Bets people. And for a second, Reddit looked like they had banned it as well, but they ultimately hadn't. So this created a huge uproar. And not only were people pissed before because they were, they're all piling into this trade to hurt these hedge funds, that some of these hedge funds are pretty damn evil. They not only did that because it was the right thing to do, but now they're starting, this is a part of a larger movement. People are rallying around our Wall Street Bets because it's not an institutional organization. It's a mindset. Billions of people are tired of being run over by the big guys, and they're finally fighting back. These legacy financial institutions that we had a thin veneer of trust after 2008 financial crisis, that's been shattered, and we're reaching a breaking point with COVID. And I think this is a good example of what's happening. And what's funny is, like, behind the suits, pedigrees, and titles, none of these people in power have any idea what they're doing. We saw this with COVID. We saw this with the 2008 financial crisis. They wear those suits because it gives them some level of bullshit authority over us, because it looks trustworthy. And here comes Bitcoin. And that's why now is the time for Bitcoin. Phil Geiger, so this is him on Twitter. I recommend you give him a follow. He has some great content. So he said that GameStop took down one hedge fund. Bitcoin defunds the entire crony capitalist system. And he's right. The rebellion is about creating a new financial system where no single party has its control. And these rebellions are really interesting because if we look back in history, it typically all starts with one individual. Mr. Robot, you had Elliot. GameStop, you had Deep Fucking Value User. And then for Bitcoin, you had Satoshi. And he was similarly motivated, like Elliot and the Redditor, because he felt that Bitcoin represented an antidote to poor central banking policy, poor ownership with hedge funds, terrible governance, and investment banks manipulating and essentially controlling the entire system. And here's a quote that he had right after he published the white paper. "The root problem with conventional currency is all the trust that's required to make it work. The central bank must be trusted not to debase the currency, but the history of fiat currencies is full of breaches of that trust. Banks must be trusted to hold our money and transfer it electronically, but they lend it out in waves of credit bubbles with barely a fraction in reserve." So Satoshi very much built Bitcoin to be this revolution, this rebellion against the existing financial system. But Satoshi needed an army. He couldn't do this by himself. And that's where he built Bitcoin for the believers in this new system, the revolutionaries, the ones who had been disenfranchised with 2008 and now. These individuals have challenged their assumptions of money and government and trading and are willing to rally behind a new cause. And Bitcoin is that perfect new cause to free them. This new faith in something, this new faith in this movement binds everyone together. That's where, if you understand Bitcoin deep enough, Bitcoin isn't just a software project. It's not code. The code coordinates large groups of people. It's really more of a social breakthrough than a technological one. And this is where I love the term hodl, because hodl is the rallying cry for these people. And the people who believe in it are hodlers or Bitcoiners. The word hodl represents conviction, a belief that we can indeed create a new financial system without control, without bailouts, and without politics. Ultimately, Bitcoin promises an alternative for people across the world to keep their savings in a form of money that can neither be confiscated, diluted, or censored. And through hodling, we can finally be free. Those who opt into Bitcoin are trading something abundant for something scarce, trading the past for the future, and trading financial dependence for financial sovereignty. If you love this, give me a like. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate the support. If you want to read this first, again, you can go check out the newsletter. It's Dan Held Substack, and it's called The Held Report. So yeah, if you Google Dan Held Substack, you'll find it on The Held Report. But again, thanks for listening. Bitcoin is this revolution. By buying Bitcoin and hodling it, you are part of that. That's all you have to do, which is incredible, versus other movements which required much more effort. So again, thank you and have a good weekend. Cheers.